Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the Washington Commanders defensive line and how they have been extremely dominant as of late and how they could be even more dominant in the future. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm so close. I know someone who's watching right now isn't subscribed, so go ahead and do me a favor and subscribe. It would make my day. Let's get right into it. So the Washington Commanders defense as a whole kind of struggled to start out the season, but the defensive line has been good the whole year. Yes, they've been better as of late, the last kind of 6 weeks of the season, but they were still solid to start out the year. But they have been extremely special as of late, just completely shutting out defenses, in the run game and getting to the quarterback as well. Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, and Montez Sweat have been absolute studs. And some of the role players as well, Casey Toohill, James Smith-Williams, and, besides the penalties, John Ridgway has stepped up as well. Payne, Sweat, and Allen, like Al Galdi says here, are playing at an elite level. And they haven't had that with these, with the defensive line in a very long time. I mean, Jonathan Allen's playing at an all-pro level, and you could argue Daron Payne is as well. It's just going to be hard for him to get in because, you only get two first-team all-pros. Jonathan Allen could be a first-team all-pro. Daron Payne maybe could get an all-pro vote, which anytime you get a single all-pro vote, you basically get second-team all-pro. But both of them 100% should be on the Pro Bowl. Montez Sweat, 6 sacks in 11 games? Not bad. At all. You got 6 games left on the year, so if he can get 4 sacks in those last 6 games, gets to double-digit sacks on the year, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. He's been playing better as of late. He's always been getting pressure and QB hits, but not really getting those sack numbers. But 3 sacks in the last 2 weeks, that's good for the Commanders. He was a huge part in the win against the Eagles, getting that sack on Jalen Hurts in the fourth quarter. That was very key for their win, getting that stop there. And then he had a great game against the Texans, almost had 3 sacks. So he's been amazing. You look at these stats right here. Shout out Shrian from Washington Commanders Twitter group chat. These are the stats against the Commanders by top tier running backs. Aaron Jones, 8 carries for 23 yards, 2.9 yards a carry. Dalvin Cook, 17 carries, 47 yards, 2.8 yards per carry. Jalen Hurts, not a running back, but 6 carries, 28 yards. Usually does a lot more. Dameon Pierce, 10 carries, 8 yards. 0.8 yards per carry. So, I mean, you look at, and I think against Jonathan Taylor, they did a good job as well. I mean, those are real elite backs. Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, and Dameon Pierce. And they absolutely shut them down. I mean, Dameon Pierce is one of the best rookies and best running backs so far this year, and I mean 10 carries and only 8 yards. That's insane. And Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne have been a huge part of that. Montez Sweat as well, but in the interior, those guys really contribute more to the run game. And yeah, those guys have been absolutely outstanding. This run defense is elite. Teams just give up. I mean, you look at this. Aaron Jones only had 8 carries. I mean, he's not a guy that usually gets 20-plus carries, but he usually gets more carries than that. Dalvin Cook probably, this around his average, but he did not have a good game in terms of running the ball. Jalen Hurts usually gets a little bit more than 6 carries, and in the first game, we actually did a good job against him as well. I think it was 19 yards. And then Dameon Pierce, of course, usually gets 18, 20-plus carries because they cannot pass the ball well, and he only got 10. They don't want to run on us. They do not want to run on this defensive line. And, it's going to be continue to go like this for the Commanders. And next week, playing Cordell Patterson. And, he's been good, but their strength is probably running the ball because Marcus Mariota's not a great passer. But our strength on defense, by far, is stopping the run. And so I'm not too worried about Patterson in terms of him in the run game. I am a little bit on special teams and pass catching. But now that Kyle Pitts is out for the year, that sucks for them. And that's unfortunate. Hopefully he heals up. But that's, good for the Commanders. And they have Drake London. That's basically it. So Commanders should have hopefully a good game against the Atlanta Falcons on defense and continue this dominance. Let's see some other tweets by people. Jonathan Allen, this is mid-game. This is right in the beginning at 1:14. Jonathan Allen set a new single-season career high with 12 tackles for loss. And spoiler alert, that number went up. And that's crazy that he did that in week 11. In week 11, he set a new single season career high with 12. And he was a Pro Bowler last year. And that's already a career high. Jonathan Allen is an absolute animal. Like, there's only one D tackle that I would 100% take over Jonathan Allen, and that's Aaron Donald. And I don't really know how well Aaron Donald's been this year. I don't think it's as good as usual, but just out of respect for what he's done the last few years, last decade, I'm taking Aaron Donald over Jonathan Allen, for the next couple years or whatever. But Allen has been a beast, and then there's a couple other guys that are kind of in that same tier. Jeffrey Simmons, Chris Jones, Quinnen Williams, but besides that, there's no one besides those guys, there's no one better than Allen. And Payne's up there too. They have the best defensive tackle duo in the NFL. And I don't think it's close. You could say DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, but I think Jonathan Allen is better than both of those guys. And Daron Payne, I think, is probably having a similar season to DeForest Buckner. I don't know for sure, but, Daron Payne's having a great year as well. So he deserves his flowers, and you see why you're here. He's blossoming into a great defensive tackle. He's always been good in the run game, just never able to get really enough sacks to warrant getting paid a top tier guy, but this year he has. And he's durable, only missed one game or 5 seasons, very young, just 25 years old. You pay you pay him, absolutely pay him. Worst case scenario, you franchise tag. And when I say worst case scenario, the worst case scenario is just to let him go for free agency. But I'm saying the worst you can just do not let him hit free agency. Franchise tag him at the very least. I think that's more what I'm saying. At the very least, try to franchise tag him and keep him around for another year while you try to get a deal done. But give him what he wants. It's going to be 20 plus mil. Jonathan Allen got 18 2 years ago, and he never really had an amazing year until he got paid. Last year was his best year of his career. I mean, he still had great, really good years, but not what he had last year. And he got paid 18. So I think Daron Payne probably going to get paid 20, 22 million. It's going to be a lot. Kind of looking at some of the stats. Daron Payne, 6.5 sacks. Allen, 6.5. Montez Sweat, 6. Their 3 main guys are all producing, and they're all playing as one. And shout out Coach Z. I still can't pronounce it, but a lot of people, the players call him Coach Z. So that's what I'm going to call him. He's done a very, very good job with this defensive line. Sam Mills clearly was a problem because these 3 at the very least are playing as one. They're playing as one unit, and they weren't all doing that last year. It wasn't just Chase Young not playing to his assignment last year. Montez Sweat was doing it. And at some points, Daron Payne and maybe even Jonathan Allen were doing that as well. These guys, you can see, how playing as one unit has helped them. All of them have around the same sacks, 6.5, 6.5, and 6. And then some other stats. Jonathan Allen, 14 tackles for loss. That's insane. Daron Payne has 11, Montez Sweat has 9, and then you can see some other guys. Jamin Davis has 6. And Jonathan Allen also has a forced fumble this year and an interception. So he's having a good year. And some other guys on the D-line. Efe Obada, he's having a good year. 3 sacks. James Smith-Williams, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. And got to give my guy, let's see, where is he? Casey Toohill has been solid. He just does his job. And this past week against the Texans, he had a very good game. Had 2 tackles for loss. So those guys have been good. And even John Ridgeway himself, even with those penalties, the 2 ones were stupid. Even though I loved the suplex that he did, a reverse suplex. It was cool to see, but it's a penalty you can't have. But that was a great, he's been good as a run stuffer. He's been good. Probably what we thought Phidarian Mathis would be. Just maybe less of a pass rusher than Phidarian would be, even though Phidarian's not going to be an amazing pass rusher. But he's been good. He's a good signing, and as long as he can keep those penalties down, I think he's going to be good for the Commanders. And now you add Chase Young into the mix, and hopefully, and I think he has learned in terms of understanding he has to be more disciplined, understand the assignment. I think he's learned. He's been out of the league, or out of, actually playing. He's been out for a year. He's been on the sidelines, active, watching, learning. There's a new D-line coach. If it worked for Montez and these guys, I think it's going to work for him as well. You add Chase Young to this mix, man, I feel bad for the opposing quarterbacks because Chase Young arguably is the most talented out of these guys. So if he can, get it figured out, get it together, it's going to be scary. And, Chase Young, I'm recording this on Monday night, but Chase Young is, activated and he might play this week. But if he does, it'll probably be like 10 to 15 snaps. So it's still going to take a while, but getting him back is huge for this defensive line. Some other stats just real quick. Run defense, yards per game, we allowed the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th fewest in the NFL, but yards per carry is probably less than that, honestly. Yards per carry is probably less than 103, or, it's probably higher than 6. We're probably in the top 3, top 5. I think DVOA is kind of an advanced metric on, measuring offenses and defenses. I think we're number 1 in run defense. So we have a very, very good run defense, and I think it'll continue to be good. And, Chase Young coming will help as well. Like, he's good in the run game. Last year, he was not getting the sack numbers. He was not. But he was still pretty good in the run game. So I think that'll help as well. And then, obviously, his pass rushing ability, if he can get that figured out, Lord have mercy on opposing QBs. Daniel Jones, Marcus Mariota, Jimmy G, Dak Prescott, whoever. This defense is nasty, and especially this defensive line. So I'm excited to continue to see these guys play, and pay Deron Payne and even Montez Sweat. Like, if he continues this, you got to consider paying him as well. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.